Welcome to the presentation for IO Benefits Supplemental Insurance Consulting and Allstate Benefits. Today we're going to be explaining to you a few things. First, what is supplemental insurance? How does it work and how is it different than regular insurance? Secondly, we'll look at three different options of supplemental programs that can be introduced to the employees. And thirdly, we'll talk about some of the benefits of how the plans will help pay for themselves. Supplemental insurance is different than regular insurance. Regular insurance pays doctors, hospitals, pharmacies, technicians, and usually has holes and gaps in them called deductibles, co-payments, out-of-pocket expenditures that we as consumers have to fill with our own dollars and paychecks from our own paychecks. Supplemental insurance is different in the fact that instead of paying doctors, hospitals, pharmacies, etc., all of the benefits are paid directly to the policyholder. Why is this important? Well, most of us have utility bills, mortgage costs, groceries, medical bills, gas, utility costs, and if we're missing paychecks due to an illness or an accident, there might not be enough to take care of everything at the end of the day. In fact, in 2009, Harvard did a study where they analyzed all the U.S. bankruptcies in America. 60% of all bankruptcies were due to medical expenses. No shocker there. Yet surprisingly, 77% of those individuals had a regular health insurance program. So the question is asked, why did they go bankrupt? It wasn't because they didn't have money to pay the medical expenses. It was most likely because they were caught in a situation that they were unprepared for and didn't have enough money coming in to take care of their everyday living expenses, those same living expenses we just talked about. At IO Benefits, we want to help people out in situations they may not expect. Things like critical illness situations, cancer diagnoses, or accidents. So we've developed a program using Allstate benefits to cover three different areas that people need extra financial help the most. The first one is a critical illness program. This covers heart attacks, strokes, and cancer diagnoses and pays a minimum benefit of $10,000 upon first diagnosis. The cost for this policy, if I'm in the age category between 36 and 50, is $27.35. What I'd like to show you is how this policy, combined with wellness benefits, can reduce the overall cost of your policy. So for example, $27.35 times by an entire year equals $328.20. Your company provides a pre-tax cafeteria plan which allows us to deduct these from your paychecks pre-tax. So I save roughly 25% off the top of my coverage, which means my true out-of-pocket cost is $246.15. Fortunately, the policy also includes a wellness benefit. This wellness benefit pays $50 for every person in the family to have a wellness screening during the course of a year. Many of these things can be done at a company's health fair. For example, biopsies for skin cancers, pap smears, lipid tests, blood tests for triglycerides, etc. When I factor the wellness benefits into my cost example, I see that if mom and dad were to both do their wellness benefits, they'd get $100 for doing the test. If I subtract that from my overall cost, I really come up with an out-of-pocket cost for the policy to protect against heart attacks, strokes, and cancers at $12.18 per month. The second policy I want to talk to you about is a cancer-specific policy. 1 out of every 3 Americans at some point in their lifetime will be diagnosed with cancer. 1 out of every 2 men at some point in their lifetime will be diagnosed with cancer. The cancer benefit is specifically designed to help those families cover the additional expenses that comes with cancer treatment, such as chemotherapy, radiation, hospital stays, travel and transportation expenses, etc. This policy, for example, would pay a $5,000 benefit for chemo and radiation per year. It would also pay an additional $2,000 on top of the initial diagnosis that you may already receive from a critical illness policy. The policy also includes an intensive care rider. This rider is not specific if you have cancer. For example, if I am involved in a serious car accident and am life-flighted to intensive care, even though it's not a cancer diagnosis, my intensive care benefits would pay. One thing that's unique about this rider is this air surface ambulance benefit. If you notice there, it says charges. That means if I end up in the intensive care for any reason and I took an ambulance or a life flight to get there, I am reimbursed the entire bill of the ambulance trip. The cost for this policy is $28.13 a month. If I were to plug this into a similar cost example, my out-of-pocket cost for the year would be $253.17. This policy also includes a wellness benefit, $50 for the same wellness screening as the critical illness. In fact, if I have both policies and do one test, both policies send me a benefit. So if I were to plug this into my cost example, my out-of-pocket cost for the entire month would be $12.76 per month. Last but not least is an accident policy. The accident policy is an off-the-job policy that covers the entire family in case of accidents, which is great, especially if you've ever heard these words. Hey mom, hey dad, watch me do this. The best way to describe the accident policy is to go through an example of what it might pay in case of an accident. So I've put on this slide a broken arm. How much would a broken arm benefit pay? Well, it starts off with a benefit of $100 to just be seen. That's for just walking in the door and making sure that it's broken. Well, to do that, they'll take an x-ray, and so that'll pay a $200 benefit. And then sure enough, broken arm, it's broken. So the fracture benefit pays $2,200, and then I might receive an extra $100 for my follow-up visits, for 2 follow-up visits. So I would receive an example, or a benefit, of $2,700 for this one broken arm example. The cost for this policy is $39.96. Let's go through that same cost example with the accident plan. $39.96 times by a year, with the pre-tax savings factored in, $359.64. This plan also has a wellness benefit, but this one's a little more unique. This plan has a benefit called an outpatient physician treatment benefit. That means you can see any physician for any reason and receive a $100 benefit for 4 visits a year for the entire family. What can be included on this physician treatment benefit? A wellness exam. So if you have the 2 other policies and are doing your blood test, that would count. A dental exam, eye exam, a flu shot, strep throat, chiropractor. Any physician counts to receive this $100 benefit. So if I factor in my 4 doctor's visits for the entire family, I'd receive $400. My policy, though, is only costing me $360. If I have this policy on the entire family and I go and do my 4 wellness visits, Allstate would pay me $40 a year to have this policy and be covered for accidents. This side will show me how much the policies will cost if I wanted all 3. If I factor in my pre-tax savings and the total cost for all 3 programs, I'm spending just under $765 a year. But I can claim up to $600 of wellness benefits back. So I would be spending total cost $164 of actual cost to protect myself against heart attacks, strokes, cancers, and all accidents, which for the entire family is just over $13 a month. Please fill out the interest sheet by clicking on the link that is embedded in your email.